Just felt like another opportunity lost. I mean, you can see on our faces we're broken, and to be so close to, achieving something special for us and to not do it is, disappointing.
What is it like to score in a do-or-die World Cup knockout match in front of 76,000 people in your home country?
Yeah, no, it was insane. It was incredible. It was more than I could have dreamt of to have that moment.
The whole country was captivated by the World Cup.
The impact that the World Cup has had and we've had on a lot of young girls and boys, it's really touching, and it's something that we would never have thought would happen in a million years.
Right, okay, let's get to the World Cup. So, enormous sporting event, the biggest sporting event in the country last year, and you're about to take part in the next biggest sporting event on the planet as you get to Paris soon. You roll out in the first game, Stadium Australia versus Ireland, in front of 75,784 people. At what stage do you realise, and I talked about it with Steph, 3 million watched the first game, then 6 million, and then it got up to sort of 12 million. It was passing Kathy Freeman numbers. At what stage, because I can see in camp how isolated you are from the hype, and one person does a presser. At what stage are you out on the pitch thinking, holy moly, this is captured the entire country?
I think the penalty shootout was the realisation of how many people we captured after that game against France. But the lead up to the first game and the build up to it was so long. That was a 4-year build from when we knew we were hosting the World Cup to, that opening game. It was such a long time coming. So when finally the moment was there, I've never been so nervous. I don't get nervous anymore when I play football, and I actually don't like it. I want to be nervous because it means I care. It means I'm excited. Not that I don't, but it just brings something different. From the moment I woke up, I was nervous for that game, and I think it was the importance of that game as well. Out of our group, Ireland was a tough opponent, but It was a game we knew we should win, and the importance of getting a win off the first game to set yourself up for the rest of the tournament. So I think the nerves of how important that game was, and then to be at Stadium Australia to know it was going to be full, and just to have all my family there as well, seeing me play on the world stage at a World Cup was it was a special moment because normally it's overseas, and again, it cost a lot of money to get to these things and travel around, but to have that there, to have it in Sydney, it's just a drive up from Wollongong. Everyone was there. So that moment was extremely special for me, but for everyone else as well. But the build, I guess it was, like you said, each game. And I think that game against Canada, which was a must win, do or die game for us, was the turning point for us as a team to win that game, to not just win that game, to dominate that game. They were the last Olympic champions to do that and put that statement out there. I think that's when Australia seen, they're in for a good shot here, and everyone, followed us from that point on, and then with each game it just built. But I don't think it was in the stadiums. I think it was post-match when people would be at the hotel was when, it started to feel like, what's going on here?
Because like you said, we were
just waiting for us to get back from the game to, try and get a photo or to get an autograph or to just say well done for the game. And each game, that crowd got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it wasn't just when we got back from the games, it was going to the games. It was then every day you couldn't really leave the hotel because, everyone was there. And there was one, it was before the Brisbane game, they tried to change our routine and said we weren't going out for a team walk, which we did every day because of the crowds of people. And we turned around, we're like, no, superstitious, we're going on our team walk. We don't care if there's people there or not. We need to do this. This can't change now. But that kind of showed throughout the tournament how big it got.
A couple of specific moments. Round of 16, The Matildas beat Denmark 2-0 in front of 75,784 people. I've looked back at your goal. Amazing goal, amazing finish, but it started with a pass from Mary Fowler. I don't know. How far away from you was she? You're playing. I've only looked at the highlights. Like, what's the length of that
It-
ball she's hit you on?
yeah, it was off a corner. I think we were on a defensive corner, and it popped out to me. I played Mary. She actually looks like she was going to play it down the right hand side, and there was no one there, and I continued my run. And for her to, I think I was yelling, but if she heard me or not, probably not with the amount of people in the stadium. But for her to see me make that run, out her blind vision because she's looking the other way, and then to hit that, I mean, yeah, it would have had to be a 40 yard pass to slip me in. And
you did not have to break stride. Like the skill, execution, and then one touch from you and in the back of the net. So this is the crux of it, Caitlin Foord. What is it like to score in a do or die World Cup knockout match in front of 76,000 people in your home country?
yeah, no, it was insane. It was incredible when I think it was more than I could have dreamt of to have that moment. Because I mean, I'm always the first one to say I don't care who scores if we win. It's whatever. If I set up the goal, if I'm not involved in the goal, if we win, that's fine. Like, just want to win. So to have that moment and to be in Sydney and to have my family there, yeah, it was just a special moment. And I think to just put us in front and the confidence within the team so early on in the game, it just felt like a really important goal for us, and a special moment for me.
Athletes these days are all about positive visualization. Do you go back to the hotel once you've worked your way through the hordes and just click online and just have a bit of a look at your work and have a look at the goal and think, yeah, that was pretty good, or not?
Yeah, I mean, everyone always wants to see their goal. They'll be lying if they say they don't. Yeah, you always want to see it, and I mean, it's. I think it's more special to then watch it back and to see how you react, and then you can hear the crowd more, and to just enjoy that moment with your teammates out there. It is very special.
The famous penalty shootout that seemed to go for days watching it on TV. And your man, Tony Gustafsson. So it's going to penalties. I'll get to your role. But Big Tone, like what's Big Tone like in this situation? This is as high pressure it gets. Is he calm? Is he offering direction, instruction? Like, what's happening when he brings you together before you all go out for that single lonely walk?
Yeah, I mean, we were really prepared for that moment. Tony, coming from the USA, he's been through it all. He's, been with them through to win a World Cup, to win medals at the Olympics. So he knew what it took. And from the very start, he said to us, if you're going to win the World Cup, you go to a penalty shootout at least once, if not more. So the importance of that moment is extremely important. And we had a big pre-camp leading into the World Cup. And even throughout the World Cup, after every training, people would practice their penalty. We would, have moments to try and put more pressure, but you can't replicate what a penalty shootout is in that moment. But yeah, we were all prepared. I had hit my penalty shot 1,000 times before I'd taken it. I'd seen Macca save 1,000,000 penalties before that penalty shootout. So when we come together, it was just, you're prepared for this, and then it was telling us what order we're in to take the pens, and that was it, really.
So you don't know the order beforehand?
No, it's not something that
Right.
you don't want to speak about penalty shootout before it happens. So when it comes, you're ready for it, and then that's it.
So is it Tony that comes up and says to you, righto, does he call you Caitlin, or does he call you Foordy? What's he call you, the boss?
I think he says Caitlin. More Arsenal's Foordy, but here it's Kate or Caitlin.
So does he comes up to you, and is he the one that says, right, you're up first here? The biggest moment in female sport in the history of this country, you're taking the first penalty, and does he say that? And what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, no, he said it more like will you take the first penalty for me? So it's more a question. And I was like, yeah, I will. Because depending on the game, like a player might, normally be confident on a penalty, but if they haven't had a good game or they don't feel it, you might not want to take it. So yeah, he asked me, do you want to take number one? I said, yes, sure. And then he went round and, I guess did the same or similar to everyone else. And then we come together and he just read out the order of pens again. And then, off we went.
Okay. So in as much detail as you wish to go into, like, try and take yourself back to that moment, Caitlin, when you know you're up first. So you actually take the second penalty, don't you? Because France started the penalty shootout?
Yeah, they started it, yeah.
So tell me about your mindset and your memories of history starting to unfold and you starting it off for the Matildas.
Yeah, I'll go back a little bit before.
Yes.
So at the Rio Olympics in 2016, we went to a penalty shootout against Brazil, obviously on their home soil. And I never prepared for a penalty because I was like, I'm not going to take one. I don't want to take one. I'm not going to take one. I don't need to prepare for it. And it was similar to the France penalty shootout. It went further than the 5, and then it got through I think 2 more people, and myself and Alana Kennedy both didn't want to take one, and it come down to one of us had to take one, and we kind of had an argument. I was like, you take it, and she's like, no, you take it. And then she eventually went, okay, fine, I'll take it. But before that moment, I remember, like, once it got past the 5 and it was going 6 and it was going to 7, and I'm thinking, I have to take one here, and I don't have a clue where I'm going. I'm not prepared for this. I don't know what to do. I was shitting myself. I remember watching the goalkeeper, trying to see how she would, go, if she would go early or whatever, what way people would go after the penalty was taken. I couldn't even remember what just happened. Like, I didn't have a clue. Anyways, we ended up losing that penalty shootout. We got knocked out. And after that moment, I never, ever wanted to feel like that ever again, like I wasn't prepared for something. So I started practicing penalties. So to flip it now to the World Cup, I had no nerves at all. I wasn't nervous at all. I didn't feel pressure. I mean, yes, a bit of pressure, but I had done that kick so many times that when I walked up there, it was just routine. And that's what Tony wanted us to feel. He wanted us to be so prepared that, he said to us first, you work out your routine, you work out what works for you, where you pick your spot. It's important once you're up there not to change what, you plan to do, because that's when you start to get in your own head, and that's normally where things go wrong. So, yeah, I walked up and just went through my routine and hit the pen that I had hit so many times. And I think what helps build confidence as well, Macca's one of the best goalkeepers in the world at penalties. And we knew that she would save penalties. We just needed to score ours. And for mine to go in and to know I'd done that, especially I think France missed the first one, didn't they?
Yeah.
To put us in a good position, it was just a sign of relief. And then, as the penalty shootout started to go on, I was thinking it's going to come back around to me. I'm going to have to take another one. What am I going to do now?
So what's it like once you've done your job, and then watching that, when then eventually Mackenzie's shooting herself and she's not scoring, and then Courtney steps up, like what, like that will go down. I think I'm older than you. That's sort of Australia 2 winning the America's Cup. That's sort of Kieran Perkins from lane 8. That's Kathy Freeman at Sydney, and the Matildas and the penalty shootout. Like I reckon that's how it will be historically viewed, Caitlin. This is an enormous moment in the history of not women's sport, of sport full stop in the country.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's crazy, but yeah, after my kick, I was like you. I was watching the rest. I was there, part of it, but you're not in control anymore. So you're just watching it. But yeah, it just felt like, when we had, Macca's chance, and then I can't remember, there was 2 more, one more after where we could have won it, and then we didn't, and then it came to Vine, and it was like, this is another chance. And I thought, if we don't get this one, then we've had our chances to win it, then that's it. But It did feel like it was going to happen. It just was, is it going to be this one now? And as I said before, we knew Macca was going to save them, and then it was just up to us to put them away.
And when you reflect back, I asked this to Steph Catley, when you reflect back, like, it was an enormous win for the Matildas and the country and what it did for so many things in this country. But as a professional athlete, there's eventually a loss because you don't hold up the World Cup. So on reflection, how do you view it? Do you look at the massive success that you had and what you generated for the public in the terms of women in sport, for inspiring the country? Where do you sit with that against the fact that eventually you don't win the World Cup?
Yeah, it's when I look at the tournament with everything else outside of it, what happened, I'm disappointed with how it went. We had the opportunity to get into the cup final. We lost that, and then we had a second chance against Sweden to finish bronze, and we lost that. It just felt like another opportunity lost. That's off the back of the last Olympics where we finished fourth as well. We were in the exact same position, and at the World Cup, it was the same conversation. We're not going to let this happen to us again. Like, this is like, to get up for the Sweden game, we're like, this is just as good as winning the World Cup for us. Like, we'll have something to show for it. And to lose that as well, I mean, you can see on our faces we're broken. And I know, off the back of that game, Australia is so proud of you and this and that. Like, that was nice to hear, but it didn't change what we were feeling and how close we were to getting silverware yet again and falling short. But then to have the opportunity on home soil and to share that moment with Australia, it's never going to come around again. It's never going to happen. So to be so close to, achieving something special for us, which would be rewarding, and to not do it is, disappointing.